So we started working with this client at our agency in the middle of 2021. And over the last few years, we've helped them generate nearly $6 million in online coaching sales. Now, a big percentage of that cash and revenue is through paid advertising and specifically Facebook ads. So what I want to do in this video is show you our Facebook ad testing process that has helped generate these types of sales. So there's actually a couple of stages to our testing process, and I will outline them now. So whenever we're starting off with a campaign for this client or any of the other clients that we work with, we basically map out a few different advertising angles that we want to test. Now, in the beginning, you want to test dramatically different angles. So phase one is basically map out the different angles, and these can be on a few different things. So it could be some pain that your customer is experiencing. It could be on the desires. Or it could even be like a different angle where you focus maybe on like social proof, right? And there's obviously different angles you can do, but I'm just, these are three generally that we would like start with. So for example, if you are in like the fitness space and you're selling online fitness coaching, then you would map out a few different angles related to your customer's pain. So maybe it's, not feeling confident when you go on vacation to, walk around the pool in just like your swim shorts or, swimsuit or whatever it is, right? That's a big pain. Another pain could be you go online shopping or not online shopping, you go shopping into the shop, and whenever you're trying to you see like a nice outfit that you want to try on, you try it on, and it doesn't look good on you because you've got like rolls in the wrong places, and it depresses you every time you go and shop because it reminds you of, how much weight you've put on. Or it could be just simple pain of waking up in the morning and looking at yourself and not being happy with yourself. Or maybe it's, you feel heavy, overweight, and you've got low energy. So these are all like the different types of pains you could do for that offer. And the idea is that you would write an ad specifically for each individual pain. So you'd separate them out and write an ad for each individual pain. With desires, same thing, but obviously you would flip it to the desire. So it could be, fitting into a dress that you haven't worn for like 5 years because you've always been too big and you want to get back to that size. It could be, other people in the office complimenting you on how good you look or how much weight you've lost. And then it could be a range of different things, getting a PB in the gym, right? Finally hitting that 200 kg squat or whatever your goal is. So again, you would map out the different desires and you would write an ad specifically for that. The social proof angle is just something that, a lot of people use, and you should use it because it works really friggin' well, is to introduce a past client of yours and basically explain the pain that they've gone through, what you did with them, and the results they are now experiencing as a result of what you did with them. That's a general baseline of what a social proof ad would look like. You can basically create an ad angle on that. So again, there's different stuff you can do, but you get the point. And we basically create different ads on those angles, and then we would launch them inside the ads manager. So that's step number one. Step number two is then we would just let them test. So the idea is that you would keep all the other variables the same, and you would just test these angles for about 3 to 5 days. I mean, again, it depends on your budget, it depends on the cost, or whether you're generating leads or just customers. But this is a general rule, as long as the budget is set up correctly for the price point and the offer, whether that's a free offer in terms of generating leads or customers, generally we would test about 3 to 5 days and we would let it run. Now, again, you want to keep all the variables the same. So, whether that be the demographics, the countries, the different targeting options, obviously you can test different ones, but at the same time, when you're actually just doing a single test between ad, copy, and creative and angles, you want to make sure that they all stay the same. all the different variables stay the same. So you know it's a fair test. So you know if one works better than the other, you know that it's because of the ad angle and not like some different targeting that you saw. So basically the targeting that you used. So then you want to let it run to about 3 to 5 days, and then you want to look at the main KPIs. So again, the KPIs are going to be different depending on your business, right? But mainly what we're going to look at is cost per lead if we're generating leads. So whether you're generating leads for a lead magnet or a webinar or a VSL, an email opt-in, whatever it is, then you want to look at your cost per lead. You obviously want to look at, and if you're not doing leads, then obviously you wouldn't look at that, right? You want to look at your CPA. So whether you're going straight to checkout and generating sales or you're generating leads to then, buy from you, you want to look at your CPA, which is your cost per acquisition. So how much are you spending to acquire a customer? And then you want to look at the overall ROAS as well. So how much return are you getting on your ad spend? Now, if you're doing cost per lead, you need to look at the time frame, right? So like if your lead to customer time frame is, let's say, 7 days, or maybe it's 30 days on average, then you're not going to understand if an ad is going to be truly profitable or not within that 3 to 5 days, right? Because on average, if it takes a lead 7 days to convert into a customer, then you can't really test ads for 3 to 5 days and know the full, get the full understanding of whether it's working or not. Now, that being said, if your lead to customer time frame is like 30 days, it doesn't mean you just leave ads running at like $100 a day for 30 days and that's the only way you can test if it's profitable or not. You have to make a decision, obviously, based on the cost per lead. Now, let's just say on average that your cost per lead, you can be profitable on a $10 cost per lead. So after 3 to 5 days, if your cost per lead isn't hitting that metric, then you'll probably turn it off. Now, if the cost per lead is like $11, $12, after 5 days, maybe you'll leave it for a few days more just to see if it balances out and goes within KPI. But you're going to have to basically make a less informed decision on the cost per lead unless you just have a huge budget and you can just spend a load of money just waiting to see if someone converts. So in an ideal world, you would obviously make every single decision based on ROAS or at least CPA. But if you're generating leads, then it's a little harder to do that because sometimes it takes longer for that lead to turn into a customer, and we don't want you to waste a load of money on ads that just aren't going to work. So you will, in the beginning, have to start making judgments off your cost per lead price. Now, I don't care about anything else. So I don't care about fucking CPM. I don't really care about cost per click. I don't really care about click-through rate. If any of these metrics, the cost per lead, CPA, or ROAS, are within my main KPIs, then I don't give a shit about, all the other metrics inside the ads manager. They're really irrelevant as long as the other KPIs are in place. And then basically I would identify the winners. So after this initial test, 3-5 days, maybe a week if you're testing leads, then I would basically identify the winning angles, right? And then after that, what you want to do then is create variations and optimizations. Okay, and these work a little differently. So, and I'll create both of these. If something is winning, then I would still create both of these. So if you have a winning ad that's getting a good ROAS and it's hitting the KPIs, then you don't just want to stop there and just be like, okay, this ad is working. I'm just never going to try and improve on it. I'll just focus on other ads. You can still scale that first ad, but then still make slight optimizations to see if you can increase performance even further. Now, this isn't like a dramatic change in the ad, but it's just small changes that, it's not going to take an ad from unprofitable to profitable. But the small changes, if it's already working and it's already getting like 2 ROAS, then maybe these optimizations could change it to a 2.1 or a 2.2 ROAS. And, at scale, those small changes in ROAS actually have a huge and dramatic impact on profitability. So we're going to start off with some optimizations. And there's tons of different ones you can do. I'm just going to give you some of the stuff that we do that are quite easy to implement. So the first optimization is that we'll change the hook. So the hook is basically like the first part of the ad. So if it's a video, it would be the first few seconds of the ad that you use to grab the person's attention. If you're using static images with maybe like a headline on it, then maybe you change the headline on the actual image, because again, that's probably like the first thing that they're going to see that's going to draw their attention. Or if it's more of like a personal branded image and there's no like text or copy on it, then maybe you change the first few lines of the ad copy itself. So you're basically changing like the first part of the ad that the person is going to see. So I'll give you an example then that we did this the other day, and it's where we changed the opening hook of the ad. So the ad that we had was basically my business partner, she was basically talking about her story and how like before she found out about our method, she was, unhappy, depressed, like not in a good situation in life. And that was basically the opening line of the ad angle that was working well. It was basically 5 years ago, I was X, Y, and Z. And she listed off a load of pain points, right? So we created that because we knew that the audience would resonate with those pain points. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling like that as well. So that was the angle that worked well for us. And that was the beginning of the ad. So that was the hook in the video. And we changed only that beginning part of the ad. The rest of the ad was all exactly the same. We just changed basically the opening line. So the first hook was 5 years ago. So it was kind of like a story hook where we went into a story. And then we changed it to this or that. So we basically changed the first few seconds, and my business partner basically was like, would you rather be this girl or that girl? And then when she said this girl, like a picture of her looking like unhappy popped up. And then that girl, which was like her now, in a better place. And then she went into the same ad. And then she went in to go and explain the story again. So the ad was basically the same. We still use the same story. We're still touching on the same pain points. But we just changed the hook of the ad to see if we can further optimize and improve. So that's just like a specific example for us. Obviously, there's tons of different examples you could do in terms of like creating new hooks and angles to start with. But that's just to give you like a more practical example. Now, there's some easier stuff that you can do as well. So you can change the setting of the ad. So with this one, you have to refilm the whole ad, but you don't have to change any of the script. So, for example, changing the setting can attract different type of people. So if you are teaching someone how to make money online, say if that's your offer, right? You could, maybe the initial ad that you filmed was you with like, I don't know, outside in the garden, right? Now that's going to attract a certain type of person. Or maybe it's a better example. Maybe it's like you on the beach, right? That would attract the type of person who maybe wants to make money to, go and travel the world and be on holiday basically all day, every day, every single year. So that type of setting will attract that type of person who wants that type of life. Whereas you could film another ad that still teaches people how to make money online. The script is exactly the same, but maybe it's like you at home with your family, and you start it off with, you at home. And that would attract maybe the type of people that are parents who have a family, who want to earn money online to help, create a better life for their family. So again, that's like a basic example, but it's the exact same ad, exact same angle, but just putting it in different settings to attract different type of people. And you might find that people resonate more with the family setting versus the beach setting depending on your offer, right? So that's just an example of that. Another one is the CTA. Now you can do this a few different ways. So when you do a CTA, it's typically like around the lines of, and if you want to learn how to X, Y, and Z, then just click the button below and ABC. So you can change the X, Y, and Z, and you can change the ABC. So for example, you could be like, again, similar to the last one, if you want to learn how you can make money from a laptop and travel the world, then click the link below and register for my webinar. You could change that to be, if you want to learn how to create extra income for yourself so you can provide more for your family, then just click the link below and register for my webinar. Right? So you're changing the benefit of the CTA. Or you could start testing out the format. This is probably like less important, but depending on, again, we're getting a bit detailed here, but depending on the sophistication of the market, different CTAs could perform better than others. So for example, in like the We Coach Coaches, How to Coach online coaching space, if you have a CTA in your video that says, click the link below and register for my webinar, then that's going to create a lot of conflict in a lot of online coaches' mind, because they've been, had webinars shoved down their neck for like 20 years, right? The last thing an online fucking coach wants to do is watch another webinar, right? It's not what they want to do. Now, if the rest of the ad is good and the offer's good and the other copy is good, then it matters less. But just simply changing the format in terms of like what the CTA is. So instead of saying, hey, a webinar, because people just think, okay, 90 minutes pitch fest, you might want to reframe it into a case study, a new training video. Hey, I just uploaded a video onto my website that explains X, Y, and Z. Right? You just want to maybe repackage the format of the CTA and what they're going to see on the other side just to get a better action. But again, that's like a small optimization. I'm not saying this is going to dramatically change the performance of the ads, but it's changing the language that you have in your CTA can sometimes get a different response. And then some other like more editing stuff. You can use like captions. You can do music. You can do B-roll. So all of this stuff can help with the retention of the video. So if you've already got a video that's performing well, then if you do add captions, add background music, add B-roll, it can help with people watching more of the video, and it could help, obviously, the performance of the ad. So again, not dramatic, that's going to change it from unprofitable to profitable, but small optimizations that you can make. And you can see here from, finding one good ad angle, you can then create a different hook, put it in a different setting, different CTAs, different captions and music. You could create like 10 variants of that one ad, and they could all perform slightly differently. So with the example that I showed you for the client that I pulled up just before, I opened up their account. One of the things that we did was like settings, for example. So they basically filmed one in their office. They filmed one in like the meditation room because it was like a spiritual offer that we were promoting. They put one he filmed one in his back garden where he'd just been also like meditating outside in the sun in like nature. So we were just like creating different settings, and it was the same ad, it was the same copy, but it was just in a slightly different format. Okay, so they're the different optimizations that you want to make. Now, you also want to do different variations as well. So you can use this, well, number one, you can still do this if the ad is working, so still make different variations. But you can also do this if the ad is like kind of working, but it's kind of not. Maybe it's just outside the KPI, but you feel like maybe with a few tweaks that it could perform well. Then you can also create variations. And this is typically where we'll use like the same angle, but we'll make a completely like different ad. So the initial angle is maybe not working well enough for you to scale it, but there's something there with the angle. Maybe you just need to like present it in a different way, or frame it in a different way. So for example, you could tell it with a different story. So maybe you have, let's just do like the weight loss example. Let's say you have, you're a fitness coach teaching people how to lose weight, and the ad that you talk about is about how you didn't have confidence to, go on holiday or whatever, take your shirt off on holiday or whatever it is. Now, you might tell your own story with that and your own pain and frustration with that. and maybe for whatever reason, maybe it was a story itself, but it didn't really hit right. Whereas you could maybe take one of your clients who was also experiencing the same struggle in terms of like confidence when they go on holiday, and you could tell their story and their like uniqueness around that story. And, you know, depending on your audience, they could resonate with that story more. So there you're using the same angle in terms of like, this is the pain point that we're focusing on, but it's like just a completely different ad altogether. So you're basically like just re-scripting it. So you're basically going to have like a decision to make. So you got the ad, right? And then you're going to ask yourself, did it work? And you're going to have a yes, you're going to have a no, and you're going to have like it kind of did. So then here, you're going to turn it off. Here, if it did work, then you're going to optimize. And if it kind of did but kind of didn't, then you're going to a variation. And then here as well, you're also going to make a variation. So this is like your decision tree. And this is basically like just like a continuous cycle. Like this stuff doesn't stop. So for example, if this works, then you create an ad with one of the optimizations. And you do basically just the exact same thing again. You know, you ask yourself, did it work? Yes, no, kinda. If it did, you create another optimization, you make another variation. This, you turn it off. And here, you make a variation. So you can see this will like completely build out. And this is the way you need to have like a system set up properly in place for you to be able to like test this stuff efficiently. Because this is the way you like scale and find winning ads. A lot of people don't have a testing structure, and they'll just be like, I'm going to try this ad. That didn't work. I'm going to film this ad. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. Let me try this. And, you know, I encourage you to kind of take messy action if that's the point in your business that you're at, where you just need to get started and you just need to try stuff. Like, I totally get that. But it gets to a point where you need a bit of strategy. And you need a bit of structure to actually what you're doing inside the ad account. And having a system like this set up in place where you know what you're testing, you know what's working, you know what isn't, you know why it is and why it isn't. And then you've got a process in place that allows you to take a winning ad and build on that momentum and build out variations that also scale at the same time. That's the process that you need to have behind the scenes. Like, very rarely do people just scale to, you know, generate millions of dollars with ads if they're just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and just hoping some of it sticks. Because even if something does stick, they don't have a process in place to take advantage of that and build on the momentum and scale it even further. So basically, for the client that I mentioned before, whenever we start out with a campaign for them, we'll probably come up with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll probably start with them filming about 5 different videos on 5 different angles, and we'll launch them, and then we see the results. And then we just follow this decision tree. And we just build it out from there, right? And we'll create the variations, and we'll create the optimizations, but maybe we turn that one off, and then we try this one again, and that works. So then we do it down here. You get the point. I'm not going to draw the whole thing out again. So we start off with maybe, and again, it depends on the budget, depends on what we know has worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past. But maybe like 5 is probably like a solid number in terms of like, okay, these are 5 angles that we're going to test. And then from there, we can optimize, create variations, turn stuff off. So we know that, you know, if the make money online angle to go and travel the world as a nomad doesn't resonate with our audience, then we'll stop that and we won't create any variations or optimizations on that. And we'll focus on the other angles. So, hope that was useful. If you've got any questions about testing infrastructure, this type of process, how to track it, etc., let me know in the comments below. You'll see from my other videos that I try and respond to pretty much every comment that I get and be, as valuable as possible, as much as I can answer in a comment. Obviously, sometimes stuff requires a bit more explanation and context, so I can't always give I can't answer every single question because sometimes it just requires so much detail. But if there's like a quick question that you have about this that you feel like I can get back to you with, then, well, regardless, just put it in the comments below and I'll let you know if I have the ability to answer it in like a short paragraph to give you the best possible answer. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.